Hey guys, Ben with Dissent Off-Road. We are going to go over some install tips for our new Land Cruiser 250 step slider. These are actually pretty simple to install. The factory gave us factory bolt points, but there are a few little tips and tricks that make it go easier. I think a quick video would probably get most of you guys through getting these installed in the quickest fashion possible. So first off, these are a modular slider, meaning the shell, brackets, everything are separate. So we're going to install the frame brackets first. One thing to note is we do want to install this tread plate onto the slider body. So basically we're going to put these guys on with these bolts. These back bolts bolt through the bracket, so those will go on after, but we'll go ahead and install these. These are just really tough to get to once the slider's in place. So we want to get the tread plate on, put these bolts in. We're not going to tighten them yet. You can still get under there and get to those nuts. Once it's in there, it's just hard to get that nut started. And then for mounting the frame brackets, we will go ahead and crawl underneath there and show you what a few tricks there. All right, so we're underneath here, and again, these are already assembled, they're already installed, so we'll add some photos of that process in this video. But a few things to note. So these are factory bolt holes up in here. I don't know if we can quite see them. Those are already threaded. We provide the bolts for that. This is really the only side that has something weird. So way up here, and I don't think you're gonna be able to see it with the in the video, we got a factory bracket that houses a hose or a wire, I believe. There's two bolts in that. So basically we're gonna remove those factory bolts. We're gonna install the provided M8 by 30 bolts. We're gonna put those in loosely so we'll get them started. And then this bracket is actually slotted so we don't have to try and get those bolts in. So we slip that on and then we can tighten the bolts. You're gonna use just a extension through these holes. These are access for those bolts with a swivel into it, and then you can get to those bolts just fine. We'll put our factory bolts in here. Also note the production version is going to have a little bit more room here to access these bolts, so it might look a little bit different. But again, we'll get all our bolts started. We'll lay it out as in our photo, front to back. They are left to right specific brackets, and there is a certain order they need to go on. We will specify that. You can't really put them on the wrong way. You won't be able to get the sliders on if you have these in the wrong side. All right, so now we're looking at the front of the vehicle. This bracket mounts to the cab mount or the body mount. We do have a provided nut plate that will insert through the hole around the body mount. Again, we'll reference some photos to show how that goes. And then these are two factory bolt points. This is the only bracket that doesn't really have any height adjustment. So we're gonna tune our slider height to this bracket. Middle bracket here, same thing. We just have two bolts. One trick when you're putting these in too, because it can be a little tight up here. This one you have access to. I think the other side we have some wires in the way. You can actually rotate this bracket and get your top bolt started first and then rotate it down. Then you got access here to get your lower bolt. So again, you can rotate that around and make those easy to get in. So once we have all our brackets in, we'll slide our slider body on with the tread plate already partially installed. We'll have M8 nut plates here. So I think there's a total of 2, 4, 6 per side. We're gonna set those in place on our bracket before we slide the slider over with the nut facing up. Slide the slider over. We've got an alignment hole here so you can move that nut plate around, get all your bolts started. And then once they're all started, you can go ahead and snug these bolts up first. That'll kind of lock the slider to the brackets. And then we will do our final adjustment. So we'll snug this guy up. Again, this has a little bit of in and out adjustment that will be set by these once you snug this up. So we'll snug these up first, and then you're gonna measure your height. So essentially what we're going for is about an 1/8 inch gap up here from the plastic trim on this pinch weld to the slider. But again, that will be somewhat determined by this bracket. This one is fixed, so you're gonna level out the rest of the slider body based on the height the front of your slider is sitting. So pretty straightforward. Once that's done, you can go ahead and tighten these bolts up, snug the bolts to the frame. We'll kind of list some torque specs on those in the video and some of the reference photos as well. But again, other sides, the exact same with the exception we don't have that other bracket in the way. So pretty straightforward install. Hope this helps.